Robert Rubin is back. Bob Rubin was the Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton. He's the one that pressed for deregulation. Said, oh, yeah, let the commercial banks join up with the investment banks. There won't be any problems. Yeah, the investment banks take a lot of risk, and commercial banks have everybody's money. But they won't endanger it. You trust them. The free market will work. You know what? Regulation on derivatives, etc., who needs them? So they did all of that in 1999, and he's the guy who pushed it through. Then he went to Citigroup, and guess how much he made at Citigroup? $126 million. Then guess what happened to Citigroup? Turns out they took advantage of all the things that Robert Rubin had passed while he was Treasury Secretary, and they eventually collapsed and took down the entire world economy with them. Now, they weren't alone. A lot of people collapsed with them, Lehman, Bear Stearns, etc. And then the American taxpayer had to put an initial $45 billion to Citigroup, and we have put in so much more through other forms of loans, guarantees, grants, etc. to Citigroup. And, of course, they would have had no money if we hadn't bailed them out in the first place. They would have been absolutely, positively bankrupt. So what's Bob Rubin up to now? Well, he's decided to relaunch his brilliant think tank called the Hamilton Project. And so he goes and does this presentation. Who is part of this relaunch? Who's helping him give a speech at that relaunch? Vice President Joe Biden. Now, who are some of the alumni of Bob Rubin, people who worked underneath him? Oh, look at that. Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, White House Budget Chief Peter Orszag, key White House advisors Jason Furman and Michael Froman, Larry Summers, who worked under Bob Rubin. All of the guys running Obama's economic team. And the Hamilton Project is within the so-called liberal Brookings Institution. So here the bankers taking over not just the right-wingers, but also the left-wing organizations, because Bob Rubin's bringing a lot of money to restart the Hamilton Project. Where did he get that money? Oh, right, he got it from Citigroup while he was busy crashing it. Now, did Bob Rubin ever pay a price for being so monumentally wrong? I mean, Citigroup was unbelievably bankrupt before the American taxpayer bailed it out. Nope. Bob Rubin got to keep his $126 million regardless. And now he's hailed as a hero, returning hero to Washington. Oh, yes, Hamilton Project, everybody gather along. Bob Rubin's going to give us more brilliant advice. And that's how the system works, man. So the next time around, maybe it's Bob Rubin, maybe it's the current Treasury Secretary, maybe it's one of them that works underneath him. They will make sure that the regulation does not pass, and they'll go to one of these banks, they'll make a lot of money, and those banks will collapse again. And guess who will pay the bill? You and I will. Now, this is why we get so frustrated, because there's nowhere to turn. Because, you turn to the Republicans, they're 100 times worse. The guy who pushed for all that deregulation on the Senate side was Phil Gramm. Funny enough, where did Phil Gramm go afterwards? Yes, you guessed it, a bank. Where was his wife? A bank. What did they make? Millions upon millions. Did those banks crash? Absolutely. But who cares? You picked up the bill, not Phil Gramm and his wife. Can you see a pattern here? Republicans, Democrats, they keep making money, the guys up top, and we keep paying the bills. You wonder why I get frustrated.